A lot of the time, we look at history from this huge 30,000-foot view. But today, we're going to do something different. We're zooming all the way in on a single life, the life of a man named Isaac Buck, to understand the American Revolution through his eyes.
So let's just picture this for a second. The year is 1845. An old man, a living, breathing connection to a time that's already fading into legend, gathers his grandkids around a crackling fire. He's about to tell them his story. And lucky for us, we get to listen in.
We're meeting Isaac Buck at the very end of his journey. He's seen a nation be born, he's outlived almost everyone he fought with, and now he wants his family to know what it all meant, what it was all for. But to really get who this old soldier was, we have to go all the way back to the beginning. See, his story doesn't start on a battlefield. It starts with a deep, personal shame that would shape his entire life.
I mean, you gotta understand, in colonial Massachusetts, this was a huge deal, a profound source of shame. The official town records even called him the reputed son of Isaac Buck, but his own father never actually claimed him. So from day one, he was an outsider.
And this, right here, this is the key to his entire story. This is the central conflict of his life. He started out with this label of shame, so his life's mission became a quest to live with honor. It's the engine that drives everything he does.
And that very personal quest for honor, well, it's about to crash right into a national one. Because just as Isaac is growing up, this radical idea of an independent America is growing up right alongside him. History is knocking on his door.
So when the shot heard around the world finally rings out, Isaac is just a kid, 17 years old. He doesn't own any land to defend, he has no family of his own yet, but he later said he felt the call of duty as strongly as any man in Massachusetts. For him, this wasn't just about taxes or politics, it was a chance to prove his worth, to earn his honor.
So he does it. He enlists, and for the next 8 years, think about that, 8 years of his young life, his whole world becomes the army, the war, and the seemingly impossible fight for independence. Now, he wasn't just some guy with a musket. He became a matros. And you're probably wondering, what in the world is a matros? Well, it was one of the most dangerous jobs you could have. You're the guy helping to load, fire, and clean these massive cannons, all while the battle is raging around you. It was hot, deafening, and you were a giant target. This timeline kind of gives you the highlights of his 8-year tour. He starts local, becomes a specialist with the cannons, then joins the pros in the Continental Army. But look there, right in the middle of it all, 1780, he marries his childhood sweetheart Patty. A little slice of normal life in the middle of all that chaos. But a timeline can't really tell you what it felt like. For guys like Isaac, war wasn't one glorious battle after another. It was a daily grind for survival. He talked about the awful pain of freezing feet wrapped in rags, of marching until you just collapsed, of rations so small that a handful of corn felt like a feast. And all that time, disease was killing more soldiers than British bullets ever could. Okay, so after 8 long years of this, victory is finally in sight. The British have surrendered. But this is where the story gets really wild. This is the moment where the whole revolution almost imploded, not from an outside enemy, but from within.
Seriously, think about that for a second. The fighting is over. They won. So how on earth could this possibly be the most dangerous moment? It seems totally backward, right?
Well, the answer is something called the Newburgh's conspiracy. The army hadn't been paid for years. They felt completely betrayed by the same Congress they had just fought and bled to create. So some of the officers started plotting. They talked about refusing to go home, maybe even marching on Congress and setting up their own military government. The whole American experiment was about to end in a military coup. And this is the moment that saved everything. George Washington walks in to confront his angry officers. He doesn't yell, he doesn't give orders, he just pulls out a letter to read, fumbles for his glasses, and says these words: "Gentlemen, you will permit me to put on my spectacles, for I have not only grown gray but almost blind in the service of my country." And in that one incredibly human moment, seeing their leader's own sacrifice and vulnerability, all the anger in the room just evaporated. The conspiracy was over, the nation was saved, not by force, but by character. So, with the crisis over, the army finally goes home. Isaac Buck, now 25 years old, is a civilian again. His quest for honor on the battlefield is done. Now he has to build a life. So after all that, after a lifetime of hard work and 8 years of service to his country, what did he have to show for it all? In 1820, a government official assessed the total value of everything Isaac Buck owned in the world. The grand total? $30.
$30. But that's not how he measured his wealth. Not even close. For Isaac, the boy who started his life in shame, the real prize was the one thing he had earned that no amount of money could buy, and no one could ever take away.
So as he sat by that fire, this is what he passed down to his grandkids. Not money, not land. He left them a legacy built on these 4 big ideas. He taught them that where you start in life doesn't define you. He made sure they understood the real price of freedom. He showed them that character and honor are the only things you truly own. And maybe, most important of all, he wanted them to know that history isn't just made by generals and presidents. It's made by ordinary people just doing their duty.
Isaac Buck's story is such a powerful reminder that the grand sweep of history is really just the sum of countless individual lives, individual choices, and individual sacrifices. He was an ordinary man who, by simply answering the call of his time, lived a truly extraordinary life. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many other stories just like his are out there, just waiting to be told?